So I would consider myself an installation artist first, but I'm also an artist that's inspired by material. So I try not to limit my understanding of who I am based on 2D, 3D, or any sort of category. In studio, there's all of these rules, and these rules are happening out of necessity. So there's rules about time. So like I could find like a really amazing process, but then I know that I can't create that to the scale, so I just forget it. And so there are all these things that are happening in studio in relationship to the process. So it has to be economical, it has to be able to be done by hand, it has to be able to be done by me in mass quantities. But all of those rules that are happening in this context create freedom in the gallery or in the hanging, and it allows nothing to really be permanent. So it's like all of the marks in Bloom Bloom are permanent, but its form is never permanent, and its size is never permanent. It's never done. It's a never-ending process. And so I think there's like a trade-off, you know? So, oh, well, I'll give up freedom in this aspect to make sure that I can maintain my freedom later. At least 50 to 75 people have had their hands on Bloom Bloom, whether they're tying or whether they're lifting weight or whether they're putting hooks in the ceiling. Yeah, it's when you're working at this scale, you have to make it so that anybody can kind of help, because you just cannot do it on your own. But you still notice how it's like so delicate. It's like, oh, but I will not scare you too much. Like, you know? Yeah, so that's why I see my work as I'm always trying to make things large, because I feel that I've been made to be small for so long, or wanted to be small for so long, or unseen or invisible in ways to like avoid, you know, harassment or whatever. And so my work is like my way of being loud without being me. So like it's this separation where it's like, oh, like this is everything that's inside of me, but it's not physically me. So it's like this way to like guard myself, so that like when I receive critique of my work, I can say, well, it's just about my work. It's not about me. I'm making this work because I feel like there's lack of spaces in the world that belong to everybody. And Bloom Bloom belongs to everybody without bias. It doesn't favor anyone over another person. And I think that that's really what I was trying to do. And like it was subconscious before, and now it's a little bit more of a conscious effort to do that in every work that I'm making. To sort of like celebrate the human experience, like all of it. And to give access to anyone, and to be without bias, to change the gallery, because the gallery biases people, is biased. It's a biased space, like everywhere else in the world. And so I'm trying to create something new. So when you're inside of Bloom Bloom, there is this incredible warmth. And it almost now for me is like these layers of like tissue or something. Like it feels really bodily to me now. And so for me, being inside Bloom Bloom is this big hug. It's like very much about love and being embraced and experiencing something new. And so I think we all live in fear, and when you experience something new, it's important to be comfortable so that you're open to that experience. And so that's why I think like the warm color of Bloom Bloom is really important. And as you leave, there's blue light. So I think a lot of people don't notice the blue light when they enter, because they're so focused on being inside of the installation. And then when you leave, your eyes are readjusting, and you're readjusting to your perspective, and so your perspective is being shifted. And so that's like sort of this like weird out of body kind of like, oh, what's happening? Like I'm not used to like being in this real world. And I'm not sure I'm not sure if I could pinpoint exactly why I do that, other than it's beautiful and it's a strange experience. And that's like really what I'm trying to do with my work, is like give someone something new to experience. And so I think that's where light comes in, is like, oh, here's this very simple way to give you a weird physical experience in your vision.